Welcome to the Crypto Freedom Summit. Now I have here as my guest a crypto investor, Crypto Rain. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great that you could come, and we want to learn a lot about how to invest in cryptos, as it is a very like a diverse field, you could say, and changing all the time, and has its own things you need to know as well. So it's very good to have you in the summit as well. Yeah. So yeah, but could you start by telling a bit like how you get into investing, and especially investing in cryptos?
Yeah. So like many, they identify, like, don't we like to put our money to work for us to make even more money? I think that's what brings people's attention to crypto. And, whether you've just found it or you've been in it for a while, you realize the swings can be very, very large. And so it can create large amounts of wealth with smart investments in short periods of time, which is unusual, right? Because stocks, you're really, really lucky if they go up 30% in a year. Whereas if you're really, really lucky in crypto, it went up 300x in a year, And so I think that's what attracts most of us to crypto. As an investor myself for 20 years, real estate and all kinds of investment, what I saw is a pretty short life cycle, meaning like 4 years, it has this cycle from the top to the top. And so I saw, during a 1 year period, you have massive, massive gains. And then usually, at least historically, then you have what a bear market and falls quite a bit. So yeah, I like this cycle because generally your cycles, say in the stock market, like it's been on a 12-year long run, and it's been running up for 12 years. So that's like the top of the cycle and likely to decline. Whereas crypto from end to end has been 4 years. So it is the best vehicle that I've ever seen in my life. And I followed investments for whatever reason since I was like 12, because it's always interested me that you can put your money to work for you to grow more money.
Yeah, yeah. So how long have you been now in the investing in cryptos?
Late October 2017 was my first experiences in crypto.
Yeah. How did you manage we had a huge upside, and then we had a huge crash. How that went for you?
I did okay because I was brand new to this space and there's a lot to learn. And so I, made some mediocre picks that did, but everything did well during that time. So yeah, I don't think anything that I chose did 300x because I was so new and I was buying what everybody was talking about, which by then you miss a lot of the pumps. And so I didn't know how to identify good projects yet. And so I did pretty well. I think, my entire portfolio like 12x'd from late October to right at the peak. And then it retraced to far below what I paid. So, I didn't understand the cycles yet. I just saw a technology that would definitely change many things in the world, bring costs down, bring transparency up, and a technology that would change the world. But I didn't know what I was doing at all yet with crypto investment and how to analyze a good project versus one that probably won't even make it through a bear market.
Yeah, that's a good lesson probably, and benefits you as well. And now this time, because you know how you experienced back then. And would you say now that, to me, it seems like we are in a kind of similar point in this cycle now, would you say?
Yes, we're definitely in the exciting year. So there's 1 year of utter excitement and euphoria that's amazing. And that doesn't mean within that year there isn't big retracements. And if you're new to crypto, that's scary because you do tend to buy what everyone's talking about, and everyone's talking about something after it just pumped ridiculous amounts. Like everyone's talking about, oh, Dogecoin is at 28 cents. You missed the chance to buy it. The chance to buy it was at half a cent or 1 cent. You buy it now, it's kind of like you do have a chance to make some good gains from it. That chance is probably about 5%. the chance that it falls from here is about 95%. So I can't say you can't make money with it, but I don't know about you. I like to make bets that are like 60% or greater of making money, and that have a smaller percentage of loss. And so, but when you're new, you just don't know. So everyone's talking about Dogecoin. Oh my gosh, it's made so much money. But the operative word in there is made. So those who made money are the ones that bought it way cheap. And Doge, I never invest in myself. I didn't do any. It's not a good bet, because there's no fundamentals behind it that make it strong. It's just a good meme coin that people get behind it and stuff, but it has an ever increasing supply to it. It's just in discussions a lot because it's gone up ridiculous amount because there's some big money behind pumping it. And that happens in crypto. In fact, I saw that happen a lot in 2017. Now we're in 2021. So we're seeing that again, that some projects or coins that have no solid fundamentals behind it, some big money gets behind pumping it, and then they dump on everyone when it gets to high prices. And we'll see more of that this cycle too.
Yeah, I think that's an important point to notice, that this happens quite a bit in the crypto world. These, and they even have these groups that they organize of thousands and tens of thousands of people, and then they decide that, okay, this is what we're going to buy and it's going to fly. And
yeah, and it pushes the price up, and then people, it makes all the news. So then new people don't know, and they jump into it, they buy it, and then they don't know how to take, even if they buy it decently well, they don't know how to take profits on it appropriately. And so then it ends up later falling far below what they bought it at. And so it's what turns off some people about crypto, because the new fall prey to this, and the new, when they're new and they lose a bunch of money, they then kind of shut off to cryptocurrency for about 8 years. Usually they don't even catch the next cycle, but the one after that, they kind of reopen themselves to it. So I hate to see that. And I try to educate people against that. But when you're new, you just don't know. And, you tend to do what 95% of people are doing. And it seems like everyone's, jumping into it too. And it's just new people jumping into it with other new people, mostly because they don't realize that it's organized behind the scenes to pump up the coin. It's an unregulated space, so it's not illegal to do that. It's not against the law. I don't like that, because I feel like it makes victims, and I don't like things that make victims. But also I tell people, don't be a victim, educate yourself, grow. I mean, that's why hopefully they're tuning into the summit. Hopefully they get a lot of good education from people that are experienced in this space. Education matters, and we should never stop our education. Okay, you're interested in cryptocurrency, great. Educate yourself, because as you do, you'll make better decisions. And education is what so many people forget to do. They graduate school, maybe they go to university, maybe they don't. The smart continue to educate themselves throughout their life. And I've seen some people that only graduated from, secondary school, and then they continue to educate themselves, and they're far more successful, far smarter than people who maybe graduated with a university degree, sometimes with a doctorate degree. So don't underestimate the value of education, and continue to learn and grow yourself, because basically in life, wealth follows those that have applied better education. So you attract money into your life through smart decisions. Well, if you're not good at something, how do you get good at it? Well, you educate yourself on it, right? So hopefully that's why they're here and joining us, because there's a lot of great speakers in the summit that they can learn from, so that they don't lose money in the middle of a market that they should be making a ton of money in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of good advice there. Yeah, and like brings to my mind this, that where we are currently at the markets, like you said, there's an opportunity to make a lot of money, and then but you have to be able to hold it as well. Like when the markets turn down again at some point. You talk about education a lot. Like, what did you do when you came into the crypto space, and what were your educational sources?
Really, it was YouTube. And the first thing I did was I paid the $10 a month in US that it takes to get so you don't have to get the ads in YouTube. because my time's valuable to me, and there were so many ads, and so I haven't had to watch one of those ads in 4 years. I strongly suggest that people do that for YouTube. And I know it seems like you would have more money to invest in crypto if you didn't spend that $10 a month on that. You would, but don't underestimate the value of educating yourself, as well as pay for other educational resources that seem like they offer tons of value, not the stuff that charges you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. A lot of that isn't probably worth the money, but other resources like in the summit, I strongly suggest that you do the upgraded things so that you can watch all the speakers in the summit, because all of them are experienced and the value proposition is really good there. One of the things I learned in the investing space is that we often forget to invest in ourselves. And we invest in ourselves through growing ourselves in our education. And that actually has the highest return on investment of anything that we can do. So don't underestimate the value of investing in yourself and growing yourself that way. Strongly suggest that, just because it'll lead to better performance for you in the other stuff that you're doing. So instead of buying the stuff that might even pump and dump and you buy right at the top and you lose money, then you start to identify these things and say, okay, no, bad timing on that. Okay, what has good timing? And then you're buying stuff that maybe has been trading sideways, or it's on a big dip after a long run and it's retraced a lot. And there will be a lot of speakers that will talk about the technical analysis behind this, but you buy on a good retracement and then you catch like a 10x gain, rather than something that you buy at the top and it retraces 60%. And so education will help save you from yourself when you're new, because when we're new, we usually invest with money we can't afford to lose. Number two, we get very emotional about those decisions because it means a lot. We're trying to make something happen here. And when we get emotional, we tend to fear of missing out into projects that might be good sometimes, but the timing is bad. And then when the timing is good on something, we're scared because there's been a long retrace and it's scary. So we don't buy it because it's just been going down, when that's actually the time to be buying projects that have solid fundamentals. They've been retracing for a good amount. That's when all the experienced people buy. That's when I buy. That's what I look for. When I look through YouTube on the channels that I follow and I see one coin mentioned 5 or 6 different times on different channels, I'm not buying then. I'm not buying that then. I might buy it later, but that is not the time I buy anything when I see that. Unless I can look at it and I see, it just barely broke out after a long, long retracement and it still has plenty of room to run. But usually only 1 or 2 of the channels I follow is talking about something that early. It's usually after they're like, wow, this is just 10x. Oh my gosh. Just realize you missed that one and you're looking. So what I tell my viewers is I don't chase boats that I missed. So think about, you're on a dock and this boat has sailed and it's way out there and you jump into the water and you're swimming after it. That's what it's like when you chase boats that have sailed. Instead, what's really happening is there's all these other boats too that have pulled up to the dock and they're sitting there and it looks kind of boring. Like they're just sitting there and they're loading up some barrels and stuff, and who knows when it's going to set sail. So that's the time to be jumping on those boats, especially when you identify the boats that have strong hulls so that they won't like sink, and they have good sails so that they can go fast. Just kind of that analogy I like to picture. And that's when you're looking solid projects when it seems a little bit boring because it's been retracing for a while. And think about it like a rubber band being pulled back. And so when things trade sideways, it's like pulling a rubber band back. And the longer they've been trading sideways, as long as it's a solid project with a solid value proposition, it then, when you release it, it sails really fast and really far. And so when you're new, you don't know that. You don't know to look for that. It is hard because you don't know how to identify projects with solid fundamentals. And so if you do pay for the upgraded version, there'll be a lot of speakers that speak about these kind of things and share with you their deeper secrets. my
Yeah.
opinion, worth the investment. Doesn't really matter to me if you all do that, but that's what I do with my money. I never stop investing in my own education because it helps me make better decisions.
Yeah, yeah, sounds very good. Um, you also describe this chasing the boats, and I guess that's a bit different. That's a big difference between a traditional investments and the crypto investments, because yeah, it's a good thing that there's a shorter cycles, but then it also, the negative side of it is that we expect more as well, and quicker results. So how do you deal with that? Like what is the method that you use to, not chase the boats and keep calm?
Yeah, that is one of the hard things. So I'm human too, and human emotions steer us the wrong direction, and we're all human. So how do you kind of keep those in check? Well, so I think about one of my mentors in real estate investment. He was worth over $100 million. And I said, if you were to give me like the secret of your success in real estate investment, what would you say it is? He said, well, I find what 95% of people are doing, and I do the opposite. So I often think about that. And that's why when I see like 10 people doing the like 10 videos all on a certain subject, like Dogecoin has been on everyone's mind, now is a terrible time to buy Dogecoin. Now, I wasn't even interested at half a cent, even though I knew it would go up from there, because there's a lot of other things that have gone up as much as that and more, and have solid fundamentals so that they'll continue to run while Dogecoin pulls back. So how do we keep that in check? One of the tricks that I use is I put only a small percentage in the different things, because when you put everything into one, it's so hard to manage your emotions, because then when it's trading sideways or even there's a pullback, then you get serious fear that it's going to pull back even more. You then are tempted to sell. And usually when you're the most worried that it's going to keep going down, that's usually at the bottom. And it's funny how it works out that way. So I so often hear, man, things finally pump when I sell. That's because when you're worried it's just going to keep going down for forever, that's usually right at the bottom. And that's right when a bunch of people sell. That's when the smarter investors, that's when I'm loading up and I am buying a ton. And so just having a small portion in different things, and even if you only have like $100 or €100 to invest, just breaking that across multiple projects helps you then be patient, because what will happen is if you break that across 10, is that one will usually be pumping and you're really excited. And then what the indicator you can use before you learn charting and how to analyze how far things can go is a simple indicator, is as simple as this. Subscribe to a lot of the big YouTube channels and even some medium and smaller ones. And when you see 10 of them talking about a subject, that's your take profit one zone. So it's that simple. Okay, I'm going to take some profits. I'm going to get my initial investment back out and I'm going to let the rest ride. And so then you're out of it. And then you can roll that into another boat that you don't know exactly when it will sail, but think of them loading up things onto it. Nothing's been happening for a while. It's been at the dock for a while. And identify when everyone else is probably getting scared to death and probably selling because it's retraced a bunch already and they're selling at a loss. And that's when you put your 10% in that. And that way you'll have the best results with this simple strategy, while hopefully you continue to educate yourself and learn about some technical analysis. And the only reason that technical analysis or charting works is because human emotions are predictable. And so we're human, and so they follow certain patterns. And basically in the charts, those patterns show up. And that's why it works.
Yeah, and seems like also that even if you are only deciding to be an investor, a long-term investor, it's still a good idea to have the basics of technical analysis as well, I guess, because then you know where it's easier to know where the bottom is.
Yeah, the more educated you get, the better you'll get at this, so that you know where a better loading zone is. Now, at the end of the day, you have to decide too what kind of time frames you want to hold, because we're in the boom year of a 4-year cycle, and it's going to be followed by at least 2.5 down years. When this will end, we don't know. So I'm not going to be holding very much at all through the coming crypto winter. Now, you have to realize there is a risk that fiat currencies around the world do destroy themselves, and they're trying hard to do that. Not directly trying to do that, but what they're doing to try to keep their economies afloat is doing that. However, and you'll hear a lot of people say this cycle, oh, this cycle is going to be a super cycle and it's never going to go down from here. They said that in 2017, and they said that in 2013. They actually said that at the creation of Bitcoin in 2009, 2010. Hasn't happened yet. Maybe I'd give it a 5% chance it happens this cycle. So at a 5% chance, I'm not going to throw all my eggs in that basket. I will be taking profits. Yes, I will be taking them out, some of them out to fiat currency, which does devalue itself because they're printing up so much of it. I understand that, but my altcoins retraced between 98 to 99.5%. If I was really lucky, it only retraced 95%, and Bitcoin retraced 85% from the all-time highs. So probably they'll retrace less this cycle. It might look like something like Bitcoin retraces somewhere between 75 to 85% is my best guess. And altcoins, some of them will retrace only like maybe 70%, maybe, but many of them will retrace 99.5% again too. And so during that 1.5 year period that's retracing, I'd much rather be in fiat or something stable, more stable like gold or just something. I don't know exactly what I'll be exiting to, but it'll be later this year that I'll start taking profits into probably USDC or something that I can then invest at like 8% or 10% or 12% somewhere. And I'll be looking for good vehicles to invest in then. And I don't know, maybe we are in a super cycle and cryptocurrency will continue to boom. That would happen if all the fiat currencies completely devalue. And then what happens is they continue to print even more to try to save themselves, and it's a downward spiral. Just don't think we're there yet. So yeah, you have to have a take profit strategy. Now, many people I know that are new this year, they're like, well, I understand that it's going to devalue and I'm just going to hold for a 5-year term, like from now until 4 years from now, and that's going to be their exit strategy. And that's not a bad strategy, because what we see, even though there's usually a big retracement, I mean, we look at Cardano and you know, you could have bought for like a fraction of a cent. I forget what the ICO price was, and then it went up to $1.40. Then it retraced all the way to 1.5 cents during the bear market. In fact, it was just last March that you could have bought it for 1.5 cents, and now it's 100x from there. And you know, and probably will go anywhere from $5 to $30. Who knows? It depends on how crazy this market is. Should it ever hit $30? No, but that doesn't mean it won't. I mean, XRP never should have hit 335 the last cycle, and yet it did. So markets are irrational. Just they're not usually irrational for very long. So.
Yeah, that brings to my mind what you mentioned earlier about the Dogecoin. Like now, when we are recording this, it has been like a wild ride up. And I remember it's not many months ago when many smart people said that, you know, it's not going to go to $1. Don't even hope for that. And we might see it there soon, actually. So.
It could be. That's just like, say you're playing the roulette table and 10% of the things are black and the rest are red, and you're going all in on black. I don't like those kind of bets, right? It could go to $1, but if it does, your profit from here is 1/3, or you'll 3x what you're putting in, but your chance of loss is 90%. I just don't take those bets. I let others experiment with that, and I can celebrate it with them if they win. I just don't take those bets.
Yeah, you talk about the 4-year cycle, and so when are you planning on then to start taking profits, and what is your like plan at the moment? And how do we know that if this is actually a super cycle? What are the signs for that?
That's a good point. We'll see a lot more irrational behavior from here. And so Dogecoin pumping like that is just an early marker that more will follow. And so if you're FOMOing into Dogecoin, unfortunately, you're actually missing out on some better projects that are also meme coins that could go really high, like Holochain and Omi token are both ones that actually have some good fundamentals and actual project analysis behind it that could go, that are similarly priced to Dogecoin or close to there, that could also hit that. So you're missing out on potential opportunities. We'll see a lot more complete irrational behavior. So some of your markers are things going up 10x in a day, and not just one project going up 10x in a day during a month period. During a month period, you'll have like 10 or 15 different projects that hit that, and you'll see things, many things go 100x, not from their ICO price, but from where they were to like 3 months later, they're 100x. And so when you see things getting pretty crazy, and one of the other markers that you can know is if you've been in the space for a while, you know that you talked to a bunch of friends and tried to get them interested in Bitcoin, and they told you it was dumb and that, you know, you were going to lose all your money and it was risky. And then when every single one of them calls you up and asks you how to buy Bitcoin and stuff, that's your indicator that 95% of people are then coming into the space. So that's when you want to be looking at what the 5% are doing, which is, okay, I'm going to sell into all that demand because I don't know how long this will continue. So I'm going to sell 10%, or I'm going to sell 20%, or I'm going to start taking a lot of profits out of the market. And so those are some of the indicators. When you go in, my mentor in real estate, I asked him how he knows in any market if it's a good time to buy or sell. And he said, well, I fly into a city and I want to see if it's a good time to buy there. I go into the city and I get my hair cut and I ask them about real estate. And if everybody chimes in the whole place and says, oh my gosh, it's so great, all my friends are making money, he says, like, okay, now would be a time to sell in this market. Or if he goes in, he asks him about real estate and everyone says, oh, it's so terrible, it's horrible, all my friends lost money in it. Then he's like, okay, now's probably a good time to buy. So when you know it's a time to be taking profits is when there's everybody you know starts buying Bitcoin. And when your grandpa calls you and wants to buy Bitcoin, it's probably the fall is a month or two away, sometimes less. So it just depends on the situation. But yeah, we saw that irrational stuff in 2017, and we're starting to see little bits of it again. So I've had a lot of people that I talked to over the past number of years that are friends of mine that wouldn't buy any, and now they're calling me and asking me how to buy it. They haven't started buying yet, but they probably will soon. That's an indicator that, yeah, we're about to hit the craziness of the market. So
yeah, so I guess for people who are now wanting to come into the markets and buy some cryptos, it's like probably good to be aware that at the end of this year you gotta watch out for these signs, what you just said, that you know, when it's time to maybe sell.
yeah, one of the principles that keeps you safe is not investing money that you can't afford to lose. And as the market gets totally irrational, people refinance their homes. They take that money, put it in the market at the worst timing possible. So this is why a lot of people we call it getting wrecked. You will wreck your finances doing this. So you invest with money that you can afford to lose. Number two, we're halfway through the boom market. When it will end, we don't know. There will be some markers, but when your instincts tell you to leverage everything and buy more, listen to those instincts and do the opposite. That's when you take profits. So when I get scared to sell because, oh, it keeps going down, that's when I know to buy more. And when it gets so euphoric and crazy and it seems like it will just keep going up for forever, you're right near the top. And so when you feel that euphoria, you might consider selling half at least of what you have and pull that out of the market completely. I know this, your instincts are going to tell you otherwise. They're just, you're human and we're all human. And the people that are experiencing the space don't turn off those instincts. They listen to them. They just do the opposite.
Yeah, that's good advice. And also, what I keep saying many times is that the market seems to give always new opportunities. So it's like you can always enter back if it looks like that you want to do that. So yeah. Um, I know that you're like a full-time investor, I guess, at this point. But how does your average day look like when you are researching projects? And of course, you have a YouTube channel, and that takes time as well. But because we are all about also lifestyle and what this makes possible, this crypto investing and trading as a lifestyle way of lifestyle as well. So, like, how does your average day look like?
So I haven't cut off my day job. I'm essentially a professional buyer for an investment company for their real estate stuff. And I'm tempted to, I don't need to work there financially anymore. This setting up during the crypto winter, I continued to pour money in, pour money in. I probably never have to work again. As long as I take profits appropriately this year. In fact, I could take some profits and not have to work, but why not keep that, right? Some people go full-time investor too early. And the problem is when you lose that source of income, you're having to sell some of your profits in order to pay for your lifestyle and pay for your living at a time when it'd be a good time to be reinvesting more. So why cut off that day job? And so, yeah, I struggle with this because it eats up anywhere from 15 to 30 hours a week for me, which isn't a lot, but the income from it is really good. And I like the people that I work with. So I still have that, but I wake up every morning and I look at Blockfolio. And Blockfolio doesn't 100% mirror my investments. I try to have the tokens in there that I'm watching and I check out what's going on there. Then I look at YouTube and I see, okay, what is everyone talking about? And I subscribe to channels that I feel there's one type is news channels where they just talk about what's in the news in crypto. And what I like about that is I can get a pretty quick summary in say 20 minutes of all their research. So I can kind of get caught up that way. And then there's the people that I trust for more sound analysis. And I like to take in and watch a few of those that kind of take in their views on things. And I don't always agree with them. It depends on how smart they are and how good they are at this. Many people have YouTube channels or new themselves, or they have no background in investing. They've just been having the channel for a long time. So they might have a lot of subscribers. And so if they're a news channel, I don't mind if they don't have sound analysis. If they're talking about sound analysis, I tend to subscribe to those that are more on the engineering side or more on they're just really smart that way. That way I can get their take on it. I think personally, I think about economics and the psychology of people's behavior all the time. So that's my strength. I did take some computer science classes in the university, and I found that there were much smarter people than me at that. And so there are some people like that that have crypto channels. And I like to listen to their take on things because it informs me about an area that I'm not super strong on. And so it helps me over time get a feel for what are the projects I really believe will be around 20 years from now. So then I do invest some in those projects, but only when the timing is right. So for example, recently Elrond had gone through a long retracement, a long sideways movement. And when you get good at charting, you literally could chart the breakout. In fact, on my channel, I charted the breakout. Look, it's breaking up from here. I'm making some entry points right here. And it did exactly what the chart said, which doesn't always happen, just usually happens. And it broke up tremendously from there. And now Elrond is in the news all the time again. And when I was buying Elrond was when it wasn't in the news and it was just barely breaking out. So identify personally, my own portfolio is solid projects that I think have good long-term. Then I try to make good entries after everyone's forgotten about them for a while. So that's how I buy. And then I usually hold for longer periods, sometimes only like 2 weeks, but usually a month to even 2.5 years, depends on when I'm buying it. So a lot of the stuff that I bought during the bear market, the terrible days when it was boring and you would buy it and then it would go down another 40%. Well, now some of those are up 50x from where I bought them. And so, I'm taking profits on some of those, but a lot of those were projects that I believed had things that had longer term value, and they were surviving the bear market, and I bought. So the ones I'm buying now, sometimes I buy some coins that I think will just pump for the short term and may not be around for 20 years, but I put that kind of in my high risk, high return portfolio. Much of my portfolio is only solid projects that I think have strong value propositions on why they'll probably be around and what value they're adding to the world or to business in general, so that I think that there's a strong use case for them.
Yeah, that sounds good. And also came to my mind when you said that about not chasing the boats that have left already, that for people watching, you can also you can save the chart of the project that you want to follow and maybe buy later, so you can wait and come back when it goes down, so you have it there saved already and you can just follow it when it goes down to the point that you would like to buy. So that's one thing you could do. And you made, by the way, you made very good points about this, for example, keeping your job and not leaving your job too early to go in the trading or investing, because I think that also helps a lot with this fear of missing out, like as does the fact that you said that you should only invest what you can afford to lose, because then you are not so attached to this investment or the source of income. You have some solid source of income. So I know this that helps with the patience to hold the project as well.
It does a lot. So why let go of your day job? I know it's frustrating and it means some really hard times, because during the bull market, you're going to run into some exhaustion. Because say you have a 40-hour, depending on which country you are, it might be a 30-hour work week, might be a 40, and might even be a 50 or 60. And then you're coming home trying to get caught up, trying to make some smart investments. But how much do you really have invested? I mean, do you have 100 million invested? Well, then probably you quit your day job. But if you're talking about you have 5,000 invested, number one, if you went full time in this, what would you do with your entire day? You have too much time, and too much time on your hands is a detriment, because when you have too much time on your hands, you actually do too little. It's a human thing. We're all still humans. Not every personality is like that. Just 9.5 out of 10 are like that. And so don't make the mistake of creating a situation where you have too much time on your hands. Secondly, why let go of that income that does provide more for you to keep investing and growing? Number two, we're in a bull market right now, but guess what comes right after a strong bull market? A big retracement. And so what are you going to do then? I remember 2017, there was one guy that sold his house and everything to buy Bitcoin, and he bought a smaller RV and he was going to travel the world on his Bitcoin gains. I never saw the follow-up story on that, but I don't think it went very well for him, because that was right at the peak of 2017. And so he bought Bitcoin probably at 16,000. He probably then sold all his Bitcoin when it got really cheap at 5,000, probably lost, 2/3 of what he had invested. So now he's even a far worse position than he had been at the beginning. And he was just new, and believed what a lot of people were saying, that this is a new paradigm and it's never going to come back from here. It always does. Just not every single time, just 99.9% of the time has a big retracement. So that's what I have my bets on, is that, yeah, this bull market will end in a bear market. And that's exciting to me, because I don't know about you, but I'm going to be here again this bear market. I stayed around last bear market when a lot of people left, and the bear market gets kind of boring, and that's okay. You have lots of time to educate yourself. You still have your job because you didn't quit it. And then you continue to educate yourself, learn about the different projects, learn how to access their white papers and read them. And I know they're boring. They do educate you on helping understand how to analyze projects. And yeah, then you'll be buying too. Then you'll have more available money the bottom of the bear market, and you'll be buying, and you'll go through the frustrations that we all went through in buying at the bear market. It's hard to identify exactly where the bottom is. So what I did was I just kept average costing in. And so I would buy, and then it would drop some more. I mean, a good representation of that was Hollow Chain. I bought it, and then it dropped some more, and I bought some more, and then it dropped even more, and that was frustrating. But now it's 50x from what I was buying at. So yes, if I had been able to time the exact bottom, it probably 100x from there. Just, you don't know. So am I happy with the 50x? Now that's only 50x now. Did hit my take profit zone where I sold off half at the 50x. I was very happy. And the way I knew to take profits on it is I saw like 10 videos on it, and I was like, okay, take profit zone 1. And pulled up the chart just to confirm. Yep, okay. And you know what? Since then, it's been doing a big retracement and probably have another major run, because we're only in the middle of the bear market. So the take profits that I took out, I just rolled them up in other boats that were at the dock where they seem boring and nothing's going on. That's the time I like to invest. And so I just rolled those profits into other things, which then further diversified my portfolio, which further helps me not chase things that I've already missed. I wasn't even tempted to chase Dogecoin. It went to 27 cents or 28 cents, which is amazing. Amazing for all those that bought at half a cent. That was a big risk that would never happen. And it continues to be a big risk that it will some point come all the way back to half a cent.
Yeah, it's great to have you in this summit because you have this background in investing and you remind us about this long-term view and the patience and like painting the vision of the next bear market where you can be a buyer with a very good prices. Because I know there are many people like you that they were studying and they were buying at the bottom. They bought Bitcoin at $4,000 and so on and so on. So like, for example, we have here Scott Melker. He's also in this summit, and he did that. He was buying at the bottom, and he's not trading now. He's mostly taking profits throughout this whole run. So that's a nice vision. Like it's like a working hard in the bear market, and now you can just like reap the rewards kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's when the smart were buying. I have a friend who's a self-employed business owner, but when Cardano was under 4 cents, he was just buying and buying and buying and buying and buying, and he bought millions of Cardano, like millions. And so he literally never has to work again. So the bear market is to stay around for the bear market. That's when you will make life-changing wealth. Now, hopefully, if you're just joining crypto now, hopefully you can make some good things happen and you take some profits so that you're positioned very well for the bear market, because you won't usually make life-changing wealth your first cycle. If you're smart, you'll take some profits and you'll set yourself up for the crypto winter or the bear market to then have, more than you would normally have to be able to buy during then. And then that following bull cycle or bull market is going to create life-changing wealth for you. Now, I would be in an even better position if in 2017 I had started taking profits when my portfolio 12x'd. I did take profits. I just rolled them into other projects. So I made some really good gains, but I rolled them into other projects, and some of those did well. And then guess what I did? I took profits, rolled them into other projects instead of cashing them out into fiat or something that wouldn't pull back and retrace. And so I didn't do that, but you have the opportunity to hopefully make some good gains this cycle, hopefully cash some of your profits out so you're well positioned for the bear market to really set yourself up good. Now, thankfully, in my day job, I have continued to educate myself so that I make pretty good income in my day job and that I could have extra income. Now, I live modestly. I drive a modest car because they're terrible investment. And so I live off of only a portion of what I make so that I have plenty of money available to invest. And I just invested every extra penny during the bear market, like every extra penny. I didn't spend it on lavish vacations or any of that. It all went into it. Investments. And my friends kind of made fun of me because they all drive nicer cars and everything, and I drive a simple car that's paid off. so that I could have that money, because it's not that I don't like spending, I love spending. But I don't know about you, I would rather change my lifestyle for forever and then be able to spend whatever I want, because then I have so many assets working for me that I just have money raining in every single month, and that I can buy whatever I want. So will I have a $200,000 car? Yes. When 200,000 makes up 0.1% of my portfolio, and it just like I get that much extra money coming in every month, yeah, then I'll have a $200,000 car, right?
Yeah, that's great. And it's very nice that now people watching this have this opportunity, what you are now saying, to be ready for the hype and for the top, and then be ready, getting ready for the next bear market. That's a luxury that many people don't have, so have this wisdom available. So then it's only up to us to use it well. We're gonna go in the second part. You're gonna show us and tell us about how to evaluate these crypto projects and what you look for in them. But before we finish this first part, I would like to ask you that if you would start now with a small money, let's say 1,000 euro, maybe 5,000 euros, in this current market situation, what would be your approach?
I would look at the charts of what did pretty well last cycle that hasn't boomed yet. And then I would analyze the teams, like, are they still doing lots? Because there's many of those that haven't yet pumped that will. I have a big favorite that's One Chain, that it went at the top of its market, $9.60 US, and is trading at like 210, 220 now. So it's 1/4 of its all-time high last time. They have cross-chain interoperability. They just landed a big deal with the third largest company in the world that's using their technology to track their electricity usage. So it's basically the state-run electricity grid of China that made a deal with them to use their technology to track all their energy usage and stuff. So that's a big stamp of approval on their technology. And it's trading at 1/4 of its all-time high. But that's not the only one. There's many. And so what I would do is I would pull up the charts on CoinMarketCap, and I would look and see what did really well and now is still relatively cheap. And then I would look further into, well, what is their project about? But in general, if you spread that across 10, many of them will hit pretty big. Some of those will hit decently well. And you'll catch a pretty good wave that, as long as you take profits, then you'll have lots of time during the bear market to continue to grow your education. And just keep in mind, the crypto YouTube channels that you're following now, they continue to educate themselves too. So I found I got a lot better analysis by those crypto YouTube channels that were still around, because many of them were new when I was new. And so they continue to work and grow themselves. And so I continue to learn different things from different people. And I continue to educate myself. Another place is Twitter and a lot of Medium articles. The space changes so fast. It's not like you can order a book and have it even be relevant by the time it's printed. So I found really between Medium articles, Twitter, which often links to Medium articles, and YouTube were primarily my sources of income, as well as there's crypto conferences. And one of the most valuable things with that is learning from the speakers, but also the networking involved, because then you meet like-minded people. Because what I learned is you can't be aware of 100% of things. It changes way too fast. And so if you surround yourself with people that are also excited in the space, that are looking for opportunities, they'll bring things to your attention that you would have otherwise missed.
Yeah, that's a lot of good advice. And networking, of course, is important as well. If you are really going into the investing in cryptos or trading in cryptos, and it takes a lot of time, and can be quite lonely thing to do. So it's nice to have a community or do networking. So yeah. Sounds good. Yeah. So could you tell people where they can find you what are you doing? And yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to hear from me, I post sometimes once a day, sometimes more, sometimes less. But on YouTube, if you search the Crypto Rain channel, or Crypto Rain will probably help you find me. CryptoRain. And you find my channel. Right now I've got 10,000 subscribers. I started the channel just 4.5 months ago, and I just share my feelings as an investor. I'm not a professional YouTube producer. I'm producing video. I'm just sharing you my thoughts as an investor. And so I hope that that would have some value to other people. And that's why I started the channel, because I did find as an investor, I was having a hard time speaking to the projects out there directly, because they can't just respond to every investor. But what I did notice is they were talking to people with large YouTube channels. So I found that I wanted to speak to them in order to be able to get direct access so that I could have better information for better investment decisions, that I needed to start a YouTube channel so that I could more easily get their attention and they would respond to me. And it's worked out well. So as my subscriber base has continued to grow, it's been easier to get in contact with the different projects and be able to speak to them. Sometimes have them on as guests on my show, but sometimes just the behind the scenes information, not the private information they're under contract not to disclose. There's a lot of public information they have that hasn't hit public awareness. That's the gold right there that I like to find, that like they have all these good things going on. The news is going to be coming in 2 weeks, but they can disclose it now. And so you're finding out that information ahead of the curve. So it makes it easier to buy before the pump and not after.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
worked out really good for my subscribers and worked out really good for me. That approach has been really successful for all of us.
Yeah, it sounds very good. Yeah, so it benefits both for the projects that come, and of course then you and your viewers as well. So yeah, so thank you for watching the first part. Thank you for Crypto Rain for this first part of the interview, and I hope you guys go get the all access pass so you see what's coming next in the second part. But otherwise I'll see you in the next interview. Bye bye.